And I have a, well, actually, my webcam, the new one that I bought, doesn't work. But we fortunately have a new laptop in the house. Not for myself, unfortunately, but it has this camera on it. So thank goodness you're getting half decent quality from me. I know I've not made a video for ages and ages and ages and ages. I took some time out earlier this year. There was some personal things going on, and I didn't really want my videos up, and I didn't really want my face to be seen. And then I kind of got quite poorly with my mood issues, which thankfully I've been through the worst of. I've spent a lot of time in France this summer, which has really helped, and I am one assignment and one exam away from finishing my postgraduate. So yay, a lot has gone on, a lot is going to go on. And I'm here today to do the rota that Ariel has put together, and she always wonderfully puts together a rota, and she and the other girls have been looking at things to do with you, and when I say you, I mean you, the people who are watching these videos. And I think they've probably been quite positive for the girls making the videos as well, and I from what I've read, I think they could be quite positive for myself as well. Unfortunately, I've caught the back end of it. So you're only getting me sort of the last part of the rota, unfortunately. This week the focus is supposed to be on looking at who we are. So not necessarily what we want to be, which though I believe that is a very positive thing as well, but who we are today and celebrating who we are today. And obviously we go on a journey throughout life, everybody does, and we walk very different paths, walk very different roads than maybe we thought we were going to. We find different things that we're interested in, we decide on different things. And when you've been through illness, a couple of things really. I think for some people it can be very difficult to remember who you were before illness. That can be because you've been ill for so long, or it can be that you just don't really have a recollection of how that felt or what that was. You may also have been ill from a very young age, and so it's difficult to know who you maybe were, who you could have been. And I have very strong recollections of who I was as a little girl, of who I was growing up, of how I was growing up. I also have a relatively, pretty accurate recognition of how I was as a teenager. I think there was a lot of loss there. And I didn't get poorly of my eating disorder until I was 19, so I did have a sense of self before then, and that self is very different than the self I am today, and will be very different from the self I'm going to be in the future. And that self was a young, enthusiastic, very determined, very ambitious young girl, young lady, young woman, who had a very secure sense of where she wanted to go and what she wanted to be, and that hasn't happened. And the person I am today is so different than the person that I was, and remarkably different than the person I would have been had my path in life continued that way. So today, oh, excuse the hair, it's just, I'm as free as my hair. I see Lady Gaga on Saturday, so, you know, we're just kind of embracing it. Anyway, so we're specifically looking at who we are today and acknowledging who we are today, accepting who we are today, feeling good about who we are today, honouring who we are today. And the way that this has been suggested is to maybe look at the different selves that we are. We are a whole person, we are a complete person, and in that we come together as one. And yet in our daily lives it's impossible to, although we might carry ourselves in each thing that we do, we do have different roles, if I'm to use that word. So on the one hand, I may look at my family and my close friends. So I may identify myself as being someone who's a daughter, a granddaughter, a sister, a best friend, a godmother, a girlfriend, or whatever else. I then maybe will see that I have a role within those different people. So I have a responsibility to my godchildren, I have a responsibility to my brother, I have a responsibility to my best friends. And that isn't to say that I put pressure on myself or that I'm doing that without wanting to, but I have certain responsibilities in those roles, and I can either take them seriously or I cannot. And what I choose to do is take them seriously, because for me personally, it keeps me accountable. My biggest source of inspiration, my biggest source of why to stay recovered are very much linked up in my family and friends. I also want to think about the self that I am. I want to think about the self that can sit with herself in this room, in a space, and think about what she needs and think about what she wants to be. I've been out of therapy a few years, and I was so used to taking things to my therapist that whilst I was making decisions for myself, I always had somebody else to kind of bounce that off. And whilst that was very positive, and whilst it is positive to maybe talk to my mum, to talk to my best friends or what have you, I think there are many times that you and I need to be able to sit with ourselves and say, but what do I want? What do I want in this situation? Do I want to be part of this situation? Do I not want to be part of this situation? One person may advise me here, another may advise me there, but I have to listen to myself, because ultimately we're the ones who live our lives, and any choices that we make have to be our choices, because otherwise we're living as other people want us to live. We're not living for ourselves, and we're never going to find a sense of contentment if we can't live for who we are and who we truly want to be. Not the mask that we have to wear, but who we, deep down when we sit with ourselves, who we are. And that's what I'd like for you to do perhaps this week. And you can write this down, or you can draw it. And so maybe you can look at yourself in on the one hand, I've sort of said family and friends. I don't know what capacity you want to do that within. There may be a specific thing, there may be a specific person. You may want to then look at yourself and think about, well, who do I feel I am? How would I sum up who I am? How can I look for the positive attributes, the things that make me feel good about myself, the things I've achieved, the things that have brought me to where I am today? How do I articulate that? And it doesn't have to have words. It can be writing, it can be free expression through drawing, it can be anything, but that sums up the self that you are for you. So we're not just somebody else, we're not just a daughter, we're not just all of these other things. We also are ourselves, and we have to be allowed to be those selves. We can't just play the role of all of those other things, because then we lose ourselves. The other self I kind of wanted to think about for myself, and again this is going to be different for all of us, is the self who is creative, the self who loves languages, the self who loves photography, the self who loves to write, and the passion I have for those things. And my writing is something that's been tried to be taken away from me numerous times, and yet I know that I can't have that taken from me, because that's my voice. Some people use voices in a different way. You may play music, you may do anything. People find a voice in sailing, learning how to sail. I've got a really good friend who sails. They find a voice in taking their dog onto the beach. They find a voice for themselves in drawing. They find a voice for themselves in nurturing something. And I think it's very important that you embrace that, and I embrace that, and that we don't forget that those things are there, because more often than not we can neglect those things. We can say that we're too busy, we can say we've got too much going on, we can say there's not enough time, and you have to find that time for yourself. Because if you've got something that nurtures you, something that gives life to you, something that allows you to be who you are, then that's really important. And like I've said, that can be absolutely anything. It can be something online, it can be a game you play, it can be anything. And so it's then bringing together those different parts. And I guess the other part for me is kind of work and being a student, and I'm running my group and doing the activism work. I mean, I took a massive step back from any kind of eating disorder, mental health work. I felt that work fell on me, and I kind of wanted to take a step back and think, will I find it again? And coming back to this group, these girls are my family, and without them, there was something missing, and I wanted that back. And that's why I'm making videos again, because it's part of who I am. Running my group is part of who I am. Wanting to work in the field is part of who I am. And if at any point I maybe feel that that's not what I want to do, I can't judge myself taking a step back from that. So if my work takes me that way, and then I kind of say, do you know what, I kind of want to step down a little bit. You can't judge yourself for making different decisions at different points. And I think that essentially you may have a goal as to what you may want to be. I know somebody who is a med student, so you may have a goal of wanting to be a surgeon, but what you've also got to appreciate is there's going to be things as you go along that may hold you back, that may make it more difficult, and it is about assessing whether you really, if you really want that, you're going to find a way to do it. I really want this work, I really wanted this postgrad, and I found a way to do it. And it's the same with recovery. If you want to truly find out who you are, you need to allow yourself on the journey of recovery. And whilst it's terrifying, you may actually find a person that you like. And I would like to say that I like myself, I like who I am, I like what I represent, and whilst that is questioned at times, I have a relatively secure sense of self, and I judge myself based on the people who are around me. And if I have amazing people around me, then I can't be this really bad person. And I think that that's also what you need to look at. If you can't see the good in yourself, maybe look who you have around you and think, well, actually, why would that person even make an effort with me if I wasn't worth making an effort? I'm going to leave that here, guys, and I'm so happy to be back. Yay! And hopefully you can get some nice consistent videos off me, and it's really great to have made a video again. So thank you for watching if you have, and so much love to you. Bye!